All right, my friends, welcome to the What's Right show, brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law. I cannot believe this news cycle. I am absolutely blown away. I think, and I called it, Robbie, I was absolutely correct in the moment when the news came out that Politico, the news site, left-wing, anti-MAGA, anti-Trump news rag, didn't make payroll. And I was joking. I wrote on Twitter, I wrote on my X account, at What's Right Sam, by the way, I wrote that, hey, looks like somebody's checks were cut off, and I meant it tongue in cheek. But it's almost unbelievable to say this. It turns out that is exactly what happened. It turns out that it was, in fact, Elon Musk and Donald Trump shut off payments by USAID, and there was an enormous grant in place that was essentially sustaining Politico. And so it's the first time in Politico's history they didn't make payroll, and everybody's sitting around, oh, it's a technical problem. We're working through this with our payroll company. And that email was released out onto the internet yesterday and was making the rounds. Sure enough, it looks like there was a lot more to it. So this is, I'm to give you some perspective on this. This idea that USAID was USAID and that we were going around the world and curing malaria in Africa, for example, and orphans in Vietnam, et cetera, is nuts. I mean, did people realize that we were funding, state-sponsored media when we, as conservatives, talk about this idea that the media out there is very biased against us and biased against Trump? Now we understand that it was this giant slush fund that the Democrats were using to fund, their friendly media companies. It's astonishing. Here it is. I'm looking at the grant, $8.2 million. And there are 237 transactions. And, it went up. By the way, I'll show you. There's a chart here where you can see, the money that was being allocated. Very little until, you guessed it, 2019, 2020, the deep state began investing in Politico in order to hurt Donald Trump in the 2020 election. 2021, it goes up a little bit. And then 2022, it begins to skyrocket. And it literally, right? You can see this. It literally shoots up to, what is this? 8,000. This is crazy. Fiscal year 2024 just blows up. And that's what they were doing. I mean, they were absolutely funding Politico in order to smear Trump, in order to win the election in 20 and last year. It's scandalous, okay? And it's on top of all of this other stuff. So what other? Well, I mean, just the amount of waste and abuse that USAID was paying out. The USAID was paying some of the BBC budget too. So the British Broadcasting Company was getting money from USAID, and then do you remember Biden's disinformation czar? What was her name? Nina Jankowicz, something like that. And Nina was, she was the one who the team Biden, got to give them credit. I mean, they tried first to go through the front door. They tried to appoint her and make her the disinformation czar, like the head censor of the Biden administration. And the public rebelled. It was not good. It was certainly not a popular move. And so what they did was they pulled her and set up a think tank for her where she, is like the top guru in the world that creates systems of governmental oppression, the kind of stuff that would make the Chinese blush. And they were paying her through this. They literally, USAID was funding this lady, Nina Jankowicz, who was run out of town by America. By even during the Biden years, it became indefensible to have this woman do what she was doing. No problem. Let's, go right into the slush fund. Let's pull out some payola, got her the money, and she's been running around the world. I mean, she's the one apparently who's behind the framework of battling disinformation, censorship, right? In Great Britain, in Australia, her fingerprints are over that disaster of a country, as far as civil rights are concerned and free speech. So that's absolutely stunning. Now, look, I mean, I know what people are saying too about USAID. They're saying that a lot of Democrats are really fighting for this. Obviously, this is Musk went literally to the heart of the deep state and stuck a spear through it. And their only defense is, well, but this, USAID does good things. Sam, it does good things. Like, come on. Like, I understand there's some wonky stuff in here. And the other complaint I hear, or defense of this, I guess, is that it's really not a lot of money. It's just, a few million here and there. So, for example, the Serbian workplace thing, right? That was only 1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces. Nice. What about the 70 grand for a production of a DEI musical? In Ireland, 2.5 million for electric vehicles in Vietnam, a $47,000 transgender opera in Colombia. Like, it adds up. Like, you just keep, you throw this into a spreadsheet and pretty soon you've got hundreds of millions of dollars. And over a period of time, you take those hundreds of millions, they turn into billions. And billions eventually turn into trillions. Like, I don't have to explain this to you. And so the smart people out there, right? The Bill Ackmans of the world, people who understand finance and are pragmatists and everything, are going, well, this is very simple. Like, this is basically zero based budget accounting, right? Every business that is on the road to bankruptcy or in bankruptcy and needs to be turned around, the economists and the turnaround people come in, the financial people come in, and they look at the budget and they throw everything out. They delete everything and then only add back the absolute essential. And the story with with Twitter, of course, is that, Elon Musk was able to get rid of 80% of the workforce. And really what he did in the very beginning, if you'll remember, is he just canned everybody and started over. I mean, one of the stories overnight is that apparently the CIA, the entire staff of the CIA, was given a buyout offer. Now, I don't know about you. Do you trust the people in the CIA? Do you trust those deep state creeps that have their agenda, are super politicized, are, not here to advance America's interests, have their little turf wars running, have their little scams running? Or do you just want a clean house? Do you want to bring in sharp new talent and recruit to an agency whose morale is rebuilt around an ethos of protecting America and Americans and American interests abroad? I mean, to me, it's all pretty straightforward. But back to the budget. Basically, Musk is doing exactly what needs to be done, which is you strip it all away, you reduce it down to nothing, to absolute zero, and you only add back what you need. And this is why, from time to time, you're going to hear an angry Democrat or two begin to rant about how look, they broke some legitimate function of government. And my answer to it is, Yeah, can they put it back together the next day? Like, did they fix it within a week? Because my answer to all of this is, if stuff's gonna break, you're going in with a hammer. It's not every person that says, well, but really what we should do is take a surgical approach, meaning cutting out the stuff that is truly wasteful and not cutting away, I guess, taking out muscle. But this is so corrupt, folks. This Politico story really sums it up. It is such outrageous levels of corruption that you can't go in with a scalpel. You have to do chemo. You just have to kill everything in sight, scorched earth, and rebuild a healthy government, from scratch. That's it. I don't see any other really legitimate path forward, to be perfectly blunt. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840 KXNT. Let's pause right here for a quick moment. The What's Right show will return in just a minute.
I'm the best.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time.
The best.
Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, because you deserve a team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
Folks, welcome back to the What's Right show, brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. So this stuff with Politico, I mean, look, it's tip of the iceberg, but it's there. I mean, I'm looking at one of the transactions for 37 users at the FDA. They paid $500,000. That's $517,855 to Politico LLC. And it says Politico Pro subscription for 37 users. Now, that's not real, right? Like, this isn't, I don't know. I don't have a subscription to Politico. I don't know what a Politico Pro subscription is. Robbie's looking at me. You don't know what this is either. Okay, good. I have no idea what that, what is that? I mean, quick math, right? I mean, it's divided by 37. So we're talking about $14,000 per subscription. I mean, it's got to be like Mega Pro. Look, it was never about the subscription. It was about paying Politico to stay on topic of supporting the deep state, of supporting Joe Biden, of supporting Kamala Harris, of supporting Democrats, of supporting Republicans who sided with Democrats. That's what this is all about. Okay? And so look, it's wild. Now, by the way, the Associated Press got a lot of money as well. Millions and millions of dollars in government money for years. And I mentioned, of course, the BBC as well. So this is just absolute madness. Now, it goes to, as I said before, it goes to the truth here is that Elon Musk and Trump are onto something. That Doge is not just about fixing the budget. The budget's important. The waste is important. But this, the amount of money that was flowing through USAID for obviously fraudulent stuff, and I'll give you as an example, if $14,000 or $15,000 per subscription at Politico, to me sounds like it's criminal, right? I mean, I'm just put on my lawyer hat here and look at this. Is that fraud? I had no idea. The kind of jokes, by the way, that are circulating, that are circulating through the business community. People are kind of joking, right? The jokes are, Well, I didn't know that there was this giant slush fund. We could have just made something up, Sam. We could have just sent in some invoices. And, my answer to it is, well, aren't you glad you didn't? Because there's a reckoning coming. And some of the nervousness, folks, that you see from the Democrats isn't just that they lost their giant political action slush fund. It's that I guarantee you that there is a rampant fraud in this and that people will go to jail. Remember, what's an analogy to this? I remember during COVID when you had all the, the PPC loans, whatever the hell all it was, right? All the free money basically the government was giving out to businesses and even very successful businesses. Oprah, remember Oprah? She took like $2 million or maybe it was more in government loans, and everybody was getting. And by the way, immediately as these loan programs came out, my friends who work in upscale retail were all telling me about suddenly these guys walking in and dropping hundreds of thousands of dollars that they'd never spent. It went straight into luxury stores here in Las Vegas in particular. I'm tell you right now, if you have a friend that worked and works in luxury retail, they will tell you that as soon as 2021 rolled around and all that free government money was coming out, I mean, people were rolling into those stores. So what happened? There was, of course, a lot of fraud because you could basically fill out your payroll report and send it in and apply, and every loan got quickly approved. And they only spot checked, a handful of them afterwards, did some after the fact, due diligence. But it was just a mess, and people did go to jail and were arrested. There's some prosecutions that are still ongoing. So I kind of submit to you folks that it's going to be that kind of stuff that begins to come out here. And it's not going to be good. It really won't be. So, and the Democrats, for their part, are trying to gin up a sort of a social justice type reaction, the kind of which that they were able to orchestrate around the death of George Floyd. But, like people do, Democrats do, they can get themselves excited about, something more. How do I want to put this, delicately? But the death of a human being is something that is emotive, right? And it's something that creates a emotional response in people, rightly so. No judgment on the merits of the George Floyd case, just saying it, that kind of thing does get people riled up. People are not getting very excited about, billion-dollar slush funds. Like the people, you're not going to get anybody out there excited. The people that are worked up about this are the politicians, but there's no hook here. There's no, there's no way that they can use this to get the same kind of, wild response. So they're going out there in D.C. They're having these protests. You can see Chuck Schumer freaking out and waving his hands, and this will not stand, and we're going to fight, and we're going to do all this stuff. But it just is so pathetic and puny. And by the way, becomes far more difficult for the deep state to fight Trump because this USAID was going to be the means by which the insurrection against Trump, the opposition, was funded. The very things that, we all assumed, right, that USAID was being used to fund different revolts and revolutions and opposition leaders, in foreign countries. But turns out the same people that were running ops in other countries to get their people, preferred political people, elected, were doing the same right here at home. And they were doing it with our money. And I think I mentioned this yesterday. I'm going to repeat it again. It wasn't, they were actually putting funds into accounts for the all these woke prosecutors, right? Restorative justice. money for that was coming not just from Soros, but from this USAID slush fund. It's just astonishing when you think about it. Well, the response? I mean, they're suing, obviously. This is not going to go anywhere. Big problem. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840. I got to take a break here, folks. I'll be right back after this. Again, my email is sam@samandashlaw.com and at What's Right Sam on X, formerly known as Twitter. Don't go anywhere. The What's Right Show will continue in a moment. Greetings, friends, and welcome to the What's Right Show, brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law, not USAID. Proudly, we here at the What's Right Show have never taken a dime of public support. My email, sam@samandashlaw.com. Happy Wednesday, folks. Big time news week continuing here. By the way, I don't think, does Chuck Schumer have any sense of irony? Like when he puts stuff up, it just blows my mind. Here's a tweet from him from yesterday. An unelected shadow government is conducting a hostile takeover of the federal government. That's the Chuck Schumer take on the USAID, scandal. And that's what it really is. This is scandalous. Our tax money was taken and was funneled into groups, entities, even media companies that actively fought against the will of half the country. And it really, so Chuck Schumer thinks that, I guess Trump winning the popular vote, having a mandate from the people to come into office and begin cleaning things up, is some sort of a shadow government. It almost, is he an election denier? Is that what Chuck Schumer is? Is he denying? By the way, this thing got reposted by Alex Soros, which is son of George. I'm telling you, that's what it is. It's right. This is the same people that are arguing about the Elon Musk is the oligarch. And nobody voted for Musk. That's the thing. Nobody voted. Yesterday I'm talking about the Hillary Clinton deal. Well, nobody voted for Hillary Clinton, and yet there she was rummaging around in our health care back in 1993. But here's the thing. When Clinton ran with Hillary, there's one big difference. I don't remember her being on stage as part of the team. She ran as a future first lady, right? Wife of the president. But, there were no rallies where Bill Clinton was up there with Hillary, and they were talking about, making socialized medicine. And this is the important distinction, because Trump ran this campaign the last, 6 months of it, 5 months of it, certainly, ran the campaign with Elon Musk joining him at the rallies and talking about how they were going to, remake the budget. Doge. Doge was being talked about for a few months at the end of the campaign. And that's why I would make the argument that the public, including me, I know for me it was I was going to vote for Trump either way, but once I was getting Trump and Elon Musk and RFK Jr. and Tulsi. I was getting JD Vance. Last time around, let's be honest, in 2016, and not everybody in Trump's orbit was the most palatable character. And so just kind of a, gut check with us, like, how much better is it now? Now it's literally unbelievable. But my point is, for all these people that will tell you who elected Elon Musk, well, take him back to Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton got super involved in Bill Clinton's term, and people said, well, who elected Hillary? And they all told us Oh, that's how it works. The president can bring in whoever he wants, including his wife, to do things, and just that's it. He won the election. He's the president. Okay. But unlike Hillary, Elon Musk ran with Trump. It was part of the thing, and I would argue one of the critical reasons why people elected Trump, because they realized that they wanted change, they wanted reforms. But I personally am not exactly certain that Elon Musk had an idea of how bad this was, and I think that when it comes to USAID, it's people like Mike Benz, and a few others who have been commenting on this. Benz, I think, is the sort of the top guy, and he's been on with he's done all the podcasts, right, and he's been on all these shows, and he's talked about the deep state and the tentacles of the CIA and the State Department for a long time. And so he is somebody who has mentioned that he's more afraid of USAID than he is in fact even of the CIA, having looked under the hood. And now it's coming to light that Joni Ernst, who as a senator went to question something at USAID, and they threatened her. And so the only time that Chuck Schumer was really being honest was when he told Trump sort of to the media, but it was a threat to Trump. He says, I wouldn't mess with those intelligence community people. I wouldn't mess around with the CIA. I wouldn't mess around with USAID. They have 6 ways a Sunday to get you. It was an anonymous threat. And of course, that threat materialized in a very literal way for Trump, who then spent the balance of his time, I think, right up until becoming president last month, fighting these people who were intent on absolutely destroying him. But the Democrats, in spite of everything, they failed. They failed to get Trump. Trump is probably the only person with enough will and charisma and communication talent to be able to fight off the entire U.S. deep state. And I think when we strip back some of this funding and we follow the money, and I'll just tell you again, with accounting, the best thing about it is that numbers don't lie. And they're traceable, right? You can start going through transactions and working backwards, and you follow the money. And it's one of the most difficult things to really to lie about. And I understand that they're hidden under LLCs and different things, but really, particularly if you have the help of some talented, tech savvy people, the work that normally would have taken hours and hours, maybe years, by hand, now actually just can be done quite quickly. So there it is. I'm just this right here is nothing short of incredible. Nothing short of incredible. And they're going to get to it, folks. They're just going to they're going to discover. I think what they will ultimately find is that the Get Trump campaign, following 2021, when Trump left office, that and never Trump Republicans, okay, Liz Cheney, guarantee you, got way more money than they've even already found from this. Bill Kristol, yeah, all these people, but also the prosecutors, people inside the FBI. Who knows? Maybe it was USAID that paid for the agitators who showed up at the Capitol to make a mess of things. And once this all gets discovered, my goodness, and by the way, can't create problems for Trump if he's turned off the payments. And the smartest thing that Elon Musk did was he understood that without the money, everything stops. And that's why he went into the Treasury and literally just turned the spigot off. It's just off. It went off, and now they can't do anything, right? And they can't make any payments, and Politico's going out of business. It's just unbelievable. And by the way, this stink has been going on for a while. I mean, the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, in 2023 found that both USAID and the National Institutes of Health directed taxpayer funds to American universities, nonprofit organizations before the money found its way to Chinese groups, including the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So on top of everything evil that USAID did, they had a hand in COVID. Wonderful. You don't hate the government enough. Trust me. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840. You're listening to the What's Right Show, brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right. By the way, I'm just going to point something out about the Politico angle here with USAID. There are a lot of stories that I'm seeing that Politico covered USAID and did not mention in those stories that they were being significantly funded through USAID themselves. I mean, that's just one example of how it makes you think, right, that this was not on the up and up. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840, KXNT. Greetings and welcome back to the What's Right Show. Look, it's a scandal, and it's not going to get any better. By the way, Bill Ackman, I mentioned that he wrote, this really it was an essay on Twitter, on X, and it was, it basically says that, look, we've got $36 trillion of national debt that's growing at about 1.8. It's closer to 2, but let's say 1.8 trillion a year. All right. Now, getting rid of the fraud and the waste and inappropriate spending, in our federal budget, our government's budget is a good idea. Okay. Now there's two things with this, with the scandal that Doge has uncovered with how USAID money has been spent. There's certain spending here that I suspect is going to be, just facially illegal. And, but the other part of it is, even if it's not, right? Even if, I don't know, do you remember this $3 million for the shrimp? There's some shrimp that was can be on a treadmill. The shrimp gets on the treadmill, and apparently, there are videos of this. So, I don't like, hey, honey, going off to work here. Gotta get some shrimp on the treadmill today. Yeah, they're paying me $3 million. I'm gonna just do it. I'm gonna put the shrimp on the treadmill. Okay. So, is it fraudulent? If there's a video that says they put the shrimp on the treadmill and that's what the thing was for, then, that stupid spending, I don't know if it's fraudulent. I suspect that there were a lot of things done here, paid out for, that never really happened. It was all just fugazi, okay? And that's going to be a criminal problem. But we've got to right, size the ship, right? Because $1.8 trillion deficit. What if 500 million of that is just wasteful, or a billion of that is wasteful spending? I mean, it's very possibly real that it is. And the other part of this is, why not make the government more efficient? Why not do more with fewer people? Why not cut payroll? Why not sell government buildings? This $36 trillion of national debt could be paid down pretty quickly if we turned some, public property, if we began slowly and correctly selling it off to developers and private shareholders, right? We are spending, what is it? I saw somewhere, it's billions of dollars a month in just heating, cooling, electrifying, and otherwise maintaining empty government buildings. Because in the post-COVID environment, of course, a lot of people haven't come back to work. And I think in the post-Doge environment, a lot of those people won't be needed back to work, period. Twitter, X, when when Elon Musk took that over, again, a big budget, lots of people running it, lots of people getting big salaries. There were fancy, dining rooms and chefs and good food, and everything was there. It was, just the place to be if you were working at Twitter. And he comes in and just guts it all, says, no, we're getting back to the mission of building great code, a great product, and we're not going to do it with all, get out of here. If you don't want to be here, take a buyout, and choose to leave. So Trump announced this. He announced that Doge would come in and make the government more efficient. And I really am convinced that they didn't believe him. I really am convinced that Elon Musk was not taken seriously. They really thought that Elon Musk was going to be like a Soros type character, right? They thought that Soros was, who's going to, he's going to pay for the access. He's going to show up to the parties. He's going to make his influence, whether it's George Soros or his son Alex, doesn't matter. That he was going to show up, give him money, get everybody excited, and then waltz away. I think they just fundamentally underestimated Elon Musk because Elon Musk moved into Mar-a-Lago. Do you remember the stories? By the way, it was, Robbie, look this up. Was it not Politico that ran the kind of the first story about Elon Musk? The first story that Elon Musk was the guest that wouldn't leave? Right. And maybe it was, whoever it was, maybe they were getting paid by USAID and wanted to keep the USAID money flowing. So they were trying to create schisms between Trump and Musk right from the very beginning, recognizing that, this is going to be a powerful force. But it doesn't matter. Musk came in, he moved into Mar-a-Lago and he parked himself there. My goodness. There it is. You're right, Robbie. It was okay. Yeah. So when was this? I'm pulling it up. Oh, yes. Okay. November, right? A week after the election. Playbook. Elon wears out his welcome. It's in Politico. This is exactly right. They were the first to run with this. So they were taking money from USAID and then trashing Elon Musk in order to preserve themselves as a functioning entity. This is why you don't trust the mainstream media. So what did Elon do? While he was at Mar-a-Lago, he wasn't partying. They were figuring out exactly what their playbook was going to be the minute they hit the ground, midday on January 20th. They had it down exactly perfectly what they were going to do. And, I think, they've consulted with a lot of smart people and it's interesting. This attack on the Treasury and on the payment system and then going after USAID, it makes you wonder what's going to happen next week. And hell, right now in the news cycle, that's the other part. Cable news can't even, catch up on this. And, they're dealing with, oh my gosh, Trump is at USAID with Elon. Now he's, giving away American prisoners to El Salvador. He's, deploying the national, they got the National Guard at the border. We've got Tom Homan trying to arrest the governor of New Jersey. Oh, wait, he's Gaza. He's going to do Gaza. I'll explain that when we come back from the break. It's just genius stuff, really. But it's so much of it happening in such a short period of time that nobody knows quite how to react to it, is my point. And I absolutely am convinced that they are majorly freaking out about this. So the Dems, yes, because it's going to the heart of their whole thing, right? These cuts. So there it is. All right. How are we on time, Robbie? Yep, we're good. Well, here, what I want to get to, I need to take a moment with the Gaza situation because, of course, all hell broke loose on that. By the way, that wasn't even there was this funny thing in the press conference yesterday with, the press conference with one was with Benjamin Netanyahu, where he dropped the thing about Gaza. The other one was, of course, in his office, in the Oval Office, where he said something about Iran. I think there's some credible threats, against Trump with Iran, and this is what he said.
Why say that you're unhappy to sign it if it's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani?
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That would be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why, lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran. So I'm signing this, and it's a very powerful document, but hopefully we're not going to have to use it.
This is absolutely brilliant. This is exactly how they ought to do it. Basically are saying, look, Trump goes, hey, I've told JD what to do. Something happens to me, we're going to wipe Iran off the map. All right, more on Trump's statements about Gaza when we come back. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840 KXNT. Greetings and welcome to the What's Right Show. Friends, I have to tell you, all of this is peak Trump. And yesterday, this press conference, everybody is melting down over Trump's Gaza plan. And I mean, I'll explain to you why this is absolutely positively brilliant and perhaps exactly the reframe that everyone needed for the Middle East. Sam Mirejovsky here, Nevada's favorite recovering Californian behind the What's Right microphone, still recovering from my cold, my flu, whatever it was that I had. So my sinus is not quite 100%, but here on duty, reporting from Europe, from the Czech Republic. I'm here through the end of the week, and look, it's fascinating to be observing all of these things happening back home in America and seeing some of the European reactions to it. Talked a little bit about that yesterday. If you missed that show, grab it on the podcast, Apple Podcast or Spotify, the two best places to get the What's Right show. So Trump yesterday with Netanyahu gets up and he says, yeah, we're going to just, maybe we're going to come in and, buy the Gaza Strip. We'll own it. We'll come in and we'll clean it up and redevelop it. We're just going to make it beautiful. We're going to make Gaza great again. Well, he didn't say that, but, might as well have, because the entire political establishment at home and abroad collectively lost what little of their minds they still have left since January 20th. I mean, the responses, it was synchronized squealing, okay, is how I would describe it. And these are people that are already losing their voice over USAID and all the other bad things the Orange Man has done to them. So this just is the cream, the cherry on top, whatever you want to call it. But it was, look, for the last 6, decades, the Middle East has been the Palestinian question, right? The quagmire, okay, that is Palestine, has been what? It's been stuck in this kind of intractable, binary state where, I guess from my perspective, I'm always curious why Israel just doesn't have they just don't ever get the job completed, right? I mean, take these people and if, it were up to me, airdrop them into Jordan. I mean, just get rid of them, send them to the countries that are their actual real home. And this is like the thing you can't say, and certainly not in college or anywhere around liberals, but, there is no such thing as, a Palestine. It's a fiction. So these people are, Jordanians, some of them are Egyptians, and of course, Jordan and Egypt don't want them because they're troublemakers, they're rabble-rousers, and, they like terrorism. And it turns out that Jordan and Egypt don't like terrorists either. So somehow it's Israel's problem. Okay. So for years and years and years, everybody's coming at this going, well, what's Israel going to give up? What are the, what's Abbas going to give up? Hey, Hamas, oh, they're a player in this. Okay. And it's either, that side wins a little more or the other side wins a little bit more. And of course, what's the problem? The reason I sympathize with Israel is that Israel is willing to make reasonable concessions. In fact, I would argue that over the last 15 or so years, Israel's made some really tough, big concessions for the sake of peace in the region. And of course, the Palestinians take whatever offers of peace and accommodation from the Israelis. They take that and they see it as a sign of weakness and demand more. All those protests at Columbia and other degenerate colleges across our beautiful country here in the U.S., when you had these snot-nosed, rich kid students all yelling from the river to the sea, not realizing, I guess, what it means is a genocide of all of Israel, because this is exactly what they are calling for. The Palestinians, the Hamas people, even the Palestinian Authority, they're not looking to coexist with Israel. They hate the Jews. They're Muslims. They're driven by Islam. It is a political religion. It's they're looking to, create their land, their space, and they need it to be Jew-free, plain and simple, okay? So, and I know this is very reductive, but just hang with me here for a moment. So, okay, that's two sides. I would argue one is reasonable, Israeli side is reasonable, and the Palestinian side less so. And who's on the other side? Okay? Well, nobody, right? You've got the international community, and they're pressuring Israel one day. Usually the pressure, by the way, is on Israel to accommodate the Palestinians. Now, Trump comes into this, right? And he is determined. What is Trump driven by? I mean, people say, oh, look, he's abandoning America first. He wants to go in and buy Greenland. He wants to take over Canada. He's going to, I don't know, bomb the hell out of Mexico. And along, and then one day he just woke up, Tuesday of this week, he woke up and he wants to own Gaza. This is where the Wall Street Journal put out a piece like, oh my gosh, 3 weeks into Trump and he already wants to take over the world. So much for America first. And I'm giggling about this because, of course, these people didn't pay attention to what Trump had to say during the election. Trump promised peace. Now, what is peace? Is peace going to happen if we still continue doing the same bull? Don't make me say the word, right? The same bull crap that we've been doing over and over again for the past however many decades? Do we just say, okay, well, now so now we're going to let the Palestinian Authority come in and rebuild it and everything. Now, Trump understands something. When I look at the face of Benjamin Netanyahu, now Trump rolled out the red carpet for Bibi, went to the White House, and no doubt you've seen the videos of Trump, being very gracious and personally welcomed Netanyahu at the entrance of the White House. Walked him in, pulled out his chair, was just, a gentleman through and through and a proper host. But I don't know if you noticed this, but Netanyahu's face gave it all away when Trump said this business about Gaza. And it wasn't as much as a negotiation as it was this, throwing down this gauntlet saying basically, look, hey, because you can tell Netanyahu has no interest in sharing a border with the United States of America. I mean, if Netanyahu wants something, it's to annex Gaza into Israel. And Trump knows this and knows that that's not going to be acceptable to the other side. So what does he do? He comes in and he says, you know what? You shut up and you shut up. Both of you guys sit down. I'm taking it. And there's nary a thing you can do about it. And all of a sudden, it's a complete reframe. It's a complete rethink for everybody now. All the stakeholders don't know what to think of this anymore. And is it a, does this proposal mean, is it, if it were actually put into effect, which may not even be the purpose of it, right? I'm not saying it's a bluff. I'm just saying it's a negotiating position. But you have this, you've thrown down the gauntlet. Trump has to both the Palestinians and to the Israelis and said, you guys have argued about this long enough. Daddy's home. You go to your corner. You go to yours. I'm taking it. And then he's doing something brilliant, which, by the way, he's getting criticized for suggesting perhaps something akin to ethnic cleansing. Everybody is freaking out about this. MSNBC is in a full meltdown over this, which is delightful. And I think, look, again, one of the most difficult things has been throughout the so-called peace process is that Israel has never been able to get, they've never been able to get either Jordan or Egypt to take, their own people back. And Trump now goes, hey, we're going to have to redevelop it. Where are they going to go? I think Egypt may have to take some of these people, for a little temporary stay. And Egypt, you know what? At this point, I'm telling you, the threat to Egypt that they would have to absorb part of 1.7 million terrorist-loving garbage people is enough to send them in a tailspin. Oh, and by the way, who did we not pull? What's the one country that we did not pull military aid away from? It's Egypt. So that's that. Look, I'm just saying. This is the play. Now there's a complete different think about the situation. People go, oh my, this was an option that we didn't even think was on the table. It's an enormous bartering chip to get people to acquiesce and to make concessions. That's what's going on. And with Trump doing this, he stands a chance to do something that no other president has been able to do. Certainly, just haven't been able to do my entire life and before it, which is, actually create a situation that preserves some security and creates security for Israel that's meaningful, real, and stable. And that, I think, that's real peace, right? That's real peace. So I don't know. And I wouldn't give the Palestinian self-governance at all. I mean, that's a fool's errand. Look what they've done. They elected Hamas. They got abused by their political leaders are all terrorist sympathizers, and then they put on a suit and whatever and go to Geneva and New York to the UN to complain about how awful the West is. They're absolute snakes, and Trump understands this. But at the same time, he also understands that Netanyahu can't be trusted either. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840, KXNT. You're listening to the What's Right Show, brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law, 702-820-1234, because you deserve what's right.
The Sam & Ash team, they wanted me to have the best care. They had my interests at heart. I have an enormous amount of gratitude. I cannot say enough thank you.
Hi, welcome back. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840 KXNT. Greetings and welcome to the What's Right Show, brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law. So one observation I have, and it's not just, in response to Trump's Gaza comments, which of course, one of the results of that is that everybody lost their minds. Kind of did he actually just say that? By the way, here are the comments. I didn't get to play it in the last segment. I want to do it here. So this is what Trump said about Gaza, what he was going to do.
The only reason the Palestinians want to go back to Gaza is they have no alternative. It's right now a demolition site. This is just a demolition site. Virtually every building is down. They're living under fallen concrete that's very dangerous and very precarious. They instead can occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different.
I'm laughing here because I really don't know if Trump's intention is to cause the Democrats to have a full-scale meltdown. I mean, yesterday over the Doge and Elon Musk it was already giving, Ayanna Pressley basically a heart attack here, talking about, well, here, let me pull this out because my point is, right, there's, Trump is going after USAID. He's going after the Department of Education. He's firing the J6 FBI agents and prosecutors. He's declared that he's going to go and investigate the boondoggle of what the train to nowhere, whatever the hell is in California, right? Governor Newsom's pet project. Again, that's $100 billion. A lot of it federal money. People are asking, well, how are you investigating what's going on in California? Well, when the feds give a grant or a payment on a state project and there is a suspicion of misuse, then it is absolutely in the purview of the federal government to investigate that. The FBI can investigate it. Treasury can investigate it. So it's, this is bad. And this occasionally, people at the state level get themselves into a little bit of federal trouble when they misappropriate federal grant money. So I'm just pointing out to you a few of the things that, that possibly are that are all sort of happening at the same time. And the Democrats don't even know where to react. So this, sort of seeming off the cuff, I explained what the purpose behind Trump's statements on Gaza were. But the added bonus and benefit is that everybody's going to start to melt down about it. And they're melting down about everything already. I give you one example. Well, there's Ayanna Pressley. Here, we got that clip. I mean, this is Ayanna Pressley screaming about Doge. Because this was what they were worked up about before Gaza. So here's
this is an unprecedented moment, a constitutional crisis.
Yeah, she's the bald one. In case you're wondering. The one next to her, that's, well, those of you who are watching, is a bunch of Democrats standing at a rally. And this was their rally. This is their DC rally that was just going popping off, right? Because that's Elon.
This is not your trashy Cybertruck that you can just dismantle, pick apart, and sell the pieces of. And I want to say to our Republican colleagues, pay attention. We're here today in the hopes that you will see the light. But if you do not see the light, we will bring the fire.
Oh, they're going to bring the fire. There it is. They're going to bring the fire. They're going to burn it all down like they did with George Floyd. The only problem is they're standing up for what here? Standing up for more government fraud, waste, and abuse? Is that like what we're doing here? Nice. Thank you for that, Congresswoman Presley. It's worthless, right? This is completely worthless. You know, it's all going to start to backfire on them. This is the thing, and I'll get to Senator Murphy. I'll get to the ICE stuff when we come back. But you know, it's very dangerous, I think, right now to taunt Trump, and I guess by extension, his ICE department, and say, oh well, I'm the governor of a state, and I'm gonna hide some illegals today. Of course I'm going to do that. Why shouldn't I do that? I am used to being above the law. That's where Democrats have been for so long. And the reality is it's not going to work the same way. It's not. Hakeem Jeffrey's gone out there. Elon is stealing tax dollars. Elon, the thief, he's the one who's stealing. Methinks you protest a bit too much.
They are raiding the government, attempting to steal taxpayer money. That's what the situation at the Treasury Department is all about. We will introduce the Stop the Steal Act in short order to prevent unlawful access with respect to the Department of Treasury's payment system connected to people who are trying to steal personal, sensitive, and confidential information.
That's totally bonkers, right? Because it's the Treasury's in the executive branch. Elon, whoever is there, by order of the president. They can't do it. They're not going to win any of this. It's all performative, and you can see they're sweating bullets. Beautiful stuff to see. All right, back after this, folks. Don't go anywhere. The What's Right Show, brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right. Greetings and welcome to the What's Right Show, your place for common sense conservatism, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 p.m., here on News Talk 840 KXNT. So Pam Bondi, the brand spanking new Attorney General of the United States, has come out saying, look, if you're a sanctuary city, if you are a sanctuary state, we will find you, we will prosecute you, we will defund you. In fact, that's the big news today here in a press conference and statement issued by the Attorney General's office saying that sanctuary cities will be defunded, and those people who are found to be interfering with the deportation of, or apprehension of, and deportation of illegal immigrants will be prosecuted as well. It's just big stuff. So there it is. So Governor Phil Murphy. Now, remember, this was on Saturday. Over the weekend, he was being interviewed, and he said this, and it raised a few eyebrows, because you've heard a handful of Democrats basically say something to the effect of, hey, Trump, hey, Tom Homan, hey, ICE, come and get me. You're gonna have to come through me. The Illinois governor, Governor Pritzker, who himself is a meaty 350 at least pounds. You're going to have to come through me, Trump, to get the illegals. Well, here's Governor Murphy saying something like that, but very, very specific.
We're talking about, I don't want to get into too much detail, but there's someone in our broader universe whose immigration status is not yet at the point that they are trying to get it to. And we said, you know what, let's have her live at our house above our garage. And good luck to the feds coming in to try to get her.
Wow. So Governor Murphy goes, hey, we've got this, we've got this person living above the garage. I don't want to give away too many details, but here's her exact location. right? Because I think when it comes to the governor of a state, you sort of know where their house is. This was wild, right? And everybody reacted to it. And of course, Tom Homan was asked about this, and Tom Homan had this was on Hannity. Tom Homan had this take, of course, not unexpected.
The governor's pretty foolish saying what he said, because I got note of it, won't let it go, we'll look into it. And if he's knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien, that's a violation of Title 8 United States Code 1324. I would seek prosecution, or the secretary would seek prosecution. So maybe he's bluffing. If he's not, we'll deal with that.
Amazing. So then Chris, so then the governor goes out, Phil Murphy, and he says, well, I was, just kind of, exaggerating. And by the way, it very well could be. See, these Democrats are so used to just making things up and just spinning it out of thin air, creating narratives and just, this is like the we'll call this the Joe Biden, sort of default mode where he's making up things about his own childhood, things that are easily verifiable. And I think every Democrat right now wants to have this tough talk on how they're going to protect the illegals. But the problem is that Phil Murphy went so specific and so on the nose on it that he ended up basically, I would think, it's not just painting a target. He was going to get prosecuted. So, by the way, Adam Schiff voted no for Pam Bondi. This was yesterday. He's like, it's a no for me after the vote. He's like, I'm not voting for her.
We need an attorney general with a backbone of steel, with the stature to say no, whose purpose is to enforce the laws against any lawbreaker, including the President of the United States. That person is not Pam Bondi.
Well, it's pretty rich from somebody who's broken all sorts of laws himself and needed a pardon from the president, Joe Biden, on his way out the door. This immigration crackdown is going to be interesting because, like, for example, what's this talk about Ilhan Omar and her brother that she? I don't think, are the rumors true that it's really her brother? She married the guy, got a green card, and was able to get citizenship, and then they divorced. And okay, setting aside the fact that, okay, it's a brother, I don't know if, that has a problem in and of itself, but if she just really was, being with the guy to get her citizenship, then that, of course, is immigration fraud. The fraud out there, and that's a very specific example, somebody that happens to be, I don't know, in the government and on the, in Congress and on the squad, but there are also so many of these NGOs, including Catholic Charities, who have made it their mission, right? They have organized and frankly, in almost a racketeering type, a manner, have built the systems by which illegal immigrants are brought into the country, are dispersed around the country, are settled, are given identities, are given, and it's not the government doing this, right? It's not the government officially taking care of this. It's been done surreptitiously by all of these entities. The next shoe to drop, right, when our head is still spinning from USAID and again, all the firings and the payment system in the Treasury Department and Trump redeveloping Gaza. But the next shoe to drop is going to be real prosecutions. And it's, this may not happen, right? This may not happen in a week, but it's not going to take 6 months. Somebody somewhere is going to get prosecuted. And but particularly in a place where they can get, if they go to a grand jury, can get a grand jury indictment. So I mean, it may not necessarily be in D.C., but they're going to look for the right jurisdiction where they can get the indictment. And incidentally, I think about Illinois, and well, Illinois is an interesting state, right? It's a very blue state, and they've got that governor there, Pritzker, J.B. Pritzker, right? Big guy, very, very wealthy, comes from the Hyatt hotel, chain family, is tons of money, billionaire basically. And Pritzker's out there saying, no, I'm going to break federal law. So let's say he gets charged, and humor me here on this because it's very important. Let's say he gets charged. It's easy for the Trump people to come in and file charges against anyone, right? And the case could have a tremendous amount of merit. The case could be as legit, it could be as open and shut as a federal prosecution would get. But what will happen is it becomes, by virtue of being brought by the Trump team, controversial and political. And, getting a jury on it that is going to side with, the Trump DOJ is going to be a challenge. Now, I have seen the videos of, the town hall meetings and other gatherings where some very, very angry residents of Chicago's, South Side have railed against the mayor, have railed against Biden when it comes to the subject of illegal immigration. They're PO'd about it. And one of the things I think about is what is going to happen when these folks that are, they could be registered Democrats. They could be, the prototypical, standard Democratic voter for the past however many cycles. But this year, maybe they didn't break for Trump, but they are PO'd about illegals taking over their neighborhood. And now finally Trump is doing something about it. ICE is showing up, rounding these people up, and they're like, yeah, let's go. And they're sympathetic to it. This is my point. And now imagine, let's add another kind of fantasy layer to this, but it's not that big of a fantasy because it could very well happen. All of a sudden, the governor of the state gets arrested and put on trial for violating federal law for harboring illegal immigrants. And, it's 4 years ago, if you went to me and you said, hey, put a Democrat on trial in Chicago. Oh, and by the way, the prosecutor is a Trump person. What do you think? How do you think that's going to go? And I would laugh. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk. I'm just saying that this time around, it could actually come to something. They could actually score a conviction. So when it comes to Governor Murphy, and it comes to Governor Pritzker and all these other Democrat clowns that are out there posturing on illegal immigration, I would not say a word. Because between Tom Homan and Pam Bondi, you're going to get yourself arrested. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840 KXNT. The What's Right Show is on. Brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law, the only law firm to trust for your personal injury case. 702-820-1234, because you deserve what's right. So, folks, in the annals of liberal conniption fits that are happening right now as we speak, in response to the first 2 weeks and 3 days of the Trump presidency, and certainly add to the crackdown on the FBI, to the list. Sam Mirejovsky here, News Talk 840 KXNT. Welcome to the program. The What's Right show is brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law, not USAID. Again, completely self-sustaining over here, not living off the government teat. But at any rate, here's what I'm getting at. The data has come out on the 5,000 or so agents and employees that worked on the J6 cases. Okay, this is the FBI. They're turning over the details, right? Kash Patel has not been confirmed yet, but by all likelihood will. And so, the interim director there is obviously on Team Trump, and this is all starting to move forward quickly. So the 5,000 employees, the details which were submitted, to their employee ID numbers, their job titles, and their roles in the J6 investigations. Okay. Now, according to media sources, somebody speaking on condition of anonymity to CNN, they say that no names have been provided so far. But here's what's interesting. So there are something like 13,000 FBI agents and a total of 38,000 total FBI employees. And it's not clear if the 5,000 are all agents or if it's, 2,500 in agents and 2,500 in personnel. But if we just take the total number, we take 38,000 and we assume these 5,000 are a mix of support personnel and agents. That's still 13% of the entire FBI workforce that was between 2021 and 2024, at all times working on these cases. And the number honestly could be as high as 35% if, my math on this, if it reads, agents, right? So, and not staff. This is stunning. It's an absolutely stunning development. The singular focus, right? I mean, were we chasing down terrorists? What else were we doing during this time? I mean, if the mission of the FBI is to keep America safe, imagine somewhere between 13 and let's say 40% of the FBI was engaged in chasing down grandmothers, and doing flashbang 6 a.m. no-knock raids on people's homes and terrorizing their kids. I'm seeing a lot of people come to the defense of agents that worked on these cases. They're saying these are good family people. They're this is not where we need to be doing. We shouldn't be going after individual agents who worked on this. They're career people at the FBI. We hear that a lot. They're career people. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, listen, there were people, folks, regardless of what your thoughts are on what happened. There were people who turned themselves in, and the FBI still insisted in doing a raid on their house, right? The person, for example, is already in custody, and the FBI showed up the following morning at 6 a.m. and terrorized his family. They came in there and held kids at gunpoint. It's vile stuff. And yeah, I'm sorry. If you participated in that, if you felt good about yourself at the end of the day, if you didn't submit a whistleblower report, if you didn't complain to the inspector general, if you were just like, you know what, it was a great day today. I went into some American's house. This guy, had a trespass charge at the Capitol, and I took my assault weapon. I'm going to use their terminology, right? If we're going to talk to the left about this. I used my scary gun and pointed it at little kids. My level of disgust with these FBI agents is off the charts. I could care less how career they are. I could care less about them or their families. These people are animals. And they're done. In my book, it's over. Like, I mean, I want to see them prosecuted, right? I mean, that's being terminated from their job would be merciful. So that's just my, that's it. And I'm glad that they're looking into it. I'm glad that there's accountability because the two groups, right, fundamentally, right? If we talk about January 6th accountability, and I'm glad we're taking down USAID because it prevents a second January 6th from occurring, right? It prevents a second op to be constructed by the deep state, to be paid for by the deep state, of course, using our tax money. So that's the place to start. But, doing a top to bottom clean out of not just the intelligence community, certainly, right, which is happening at, with the buyout offers and going out to every single person at the CIA yesterday. So that's obviously great news. But going after all of the agents that turned the FBI into a political action shock troop for Joe Biden is an absolute must. And then, of course, obviously the prosecutors. And they're already being, removed from their positions. They're being demoted. They're being asked to resign. And it's good. It's important. I mean, this is what has to happen. This is the accountability that we voted for. So let them scream. And I don't know about you. I've never witnessed an avalanche of this kind of radical change in such a short period of time as I have here and now with the last 2 weeks. It's just been absolutely spectacular. So, I mean, there it is. I think, it's happening. All right. So, folks, I know it's late at night here. I don't know if you know this. Where I'm at in the Czech Republic, it's, plus 9 hours. So I'll let you do the math, but I need to get myself to bed. My goodness. Oh, it's crazy. But listen, we're going to do it all again tomorrow. There is going to be another 100 things that happen between now and then. I can hardly wait. Friends, I appreciate you more than I can express. Thank you for being such stalwart and faithful listeners. The show wouldn't be what it is without you. Please reach out with comments, concerns, Sam at samandashlaw.com. And of course, follow me on Twitter, formerly known as, now X, at What's Right Sam. Have a great day.